Right, so at this point you should have your character completed. This is what mine looks like. So what we're gonna do is, right now it is a flat default gray. What I want to do is add some color onto this character. So in order to do that, we actually have to create the UVs. Because the way that the character has its surface characteristics defined, such as color or shininess or bumpiness or various other things, is it actually lays out a 2D image. So if I go here, you can see it takes a 2D image and then it has a corresponding UV. So if I select this, you'll see each one of these points here correspond to a point on the body. So if I grab some here, see how it selects it here? Let's do one that's a little bit easier. So if I grab the wrist, this is where the wrist exists. Now, what you're going to see is by default, it's all overlapping and it's not laid out in a way that's understandable. Like I don't really know what piece is what, as well as it's also not going to be laid out in a way that'll allow an image to be placed over top of it properly because again there's overlapping, there's big empty areas, some stuff have a lot of space and these aren't like the same shape as what's over here. The reason why we have UVs to begin with at all is that each one of these objects, notice that this one's actually, it just looks like one big square. It's actually, I think, oh no, it doesn't have any UVs. So the reason why this one doesn't have any UVs is because we did the polyquilt on this, so it didn't come with it. But whenever we made these, we started with a primitive. So like these, we started with, oh, those aren't actually stuck on there. These we started with a plane. This one I started with a cylinder, right? These were probably a cylinder as well. So they have the UVs from utilizing those previous default primitives. Those have UVs laid out properly, but as soon as you start modeling, they're not proper anymore. So basically, we need to lay these out in a manner that will allow us to, um, uh, apply textures and stuff. So we're going to do some UV mapping. Okay, let's start with kind of simpler things and work our way up. So let's start with the pants area. So this is going to make a difference whether your character has clothes or not, because what you're going to do is you're going to create these UVs, and the best way to kind of think of them is think about how you're a person, right? Now, you have skin, but you have clothes that go over top of you, right? And the clothes start out as a flat textile, and then they are sewn together to create a three-dimensional shape that can lay over top of you. That's basically what we're doing. As such, you'll notice if you look at your shirt and pants and whatever clothes you have, they have seams on them, right? Where they do the sewing. This will have the same issue. Now, obviously, you don't have to have seams in the same way where, like, you can see the sewing marks. However, the images, when when one image is touching another image, there will be maybe a line there. So you want to generally put your seams where the seams would be with clothing. Now, if you have a character who is nude, what that means is you want to put the seams where they are least likely to be seen. So let's say this character was entirely nude. I would put all the seams on the back. So I would do seams back here like this, all on the back, because you're pretty much going to see the character from the front. Now, if this was like a dungeon crawler game and we're going to be back here, I'd probably put the seams on the front. So basically, you want to put the seams where they're least likely to be noticed, okay? And or you put them where they logically make sense. And so in our case, he is wearing clothes. So I'm going to use the clothes as a guide. So if you look at pants, pants mostly have the same design. So I'm wearing a pair of jeans. This guy, I don't remember what he's wearing, but we're just going to say he's wearing khakis. Generally, if you look, you'll see there is a front panel here, a front panel here, a back panel here, and a back panel here. That being said, so there's basically four separate panels. And you'll see there's usually, where is it? Let me put this on so I can see what we're doing. You will see that there's generally an inseam and an outside seam, right? And then there's a seam right on the crotch here and around the back to the butt as well. Okay. Now some pants they'll have different sewing. So like if you look at yoga pants, I've seen ones that have like seams on the sides here, or they'll do different styles. Okay. But I'm just talking like kind of typical pants. So if your pants are different or you have shorts or something like that, you're going to put the seams in different spots. You want to put them where they logically make sense in the real world counterpart. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to start with the pantalones first. And just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to hit that / or question mark button. So that way the other stuff isn't in the way. Then I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode, or where is it? Oh, right here, sorry. Go into edit mode. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start marking our seam so we can lay it out. So I'm gonna hit 2 to go into edge mode because that'll be a little bit easier. I'm gonna hold Alt and I'm gonna click on the inside seam. So you can see this is the halfway mark, right? So you see it goes right up the leg. So I'm gonna grab that seam and I'm just gonna go ahead and mark that seam. So the hotkey for this is U, and then you'll see mark seam. And now if I click off, you'll see this little red line. And that just means that that's a seam now, or it's going to become a seam when we go to do the unfolding, all right? The other seam I need is on the outside here. So once again, I'm going to hold Alt and click on this, and I'll hit U, and we will mark seam again. Great. Now, depending on how you want to do this, we actually don't need to add the center seam because you're not gonna, we'll have a front panel, a side panel, but if we want, you can do it. I'll just go ahead and do it. But it's just gonna add another seam where I don't think it's super necessary. So I'm gonna hold Alt and click on this, and you're gonna see it's gonna go from the front to the back. Hopefully yours does as well. If it doesn't, for one, it means there's something probably not great with your model, but you can also just click and hold Shift and just kind of click and manually, I'm just holding Shift the whole time, click and, go from piece to piece, okay? So I'll hit U, and then we'll hit Mark Seam. Great. Now what we're going to do is you're going to hit A, then we're going to hit U, and then you're going to do Unwrap, and we'll do Minimum Stretch. And then what you'll see is it will actually lay out your pantalones. Now, I am noticing that, see here, they're still attached right there. And that's because if I go up here, oh, this one went all the way up. I didn't do the outside of here. So this pant is still actually attached to itself. So I got to grab this one. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hold Alt and click on this. We'll do U and we'll do mark seam. Okay, now I'm going to hit A again. I'm going to hit U and let's do unwrap. Now you're going to see, okay, so now that created the seam, but you're going to see right here, it looks like there's still an edge still stuck together. If you click on this, it will actually show you over here when you select things on this side, they'll show up here. This will always work when you select things here, they'll show up here. But by default, it doesn't show what is selected here over there. I don't know why that's not on by default, but you have to click these little double arrows right here. Okay, so I'm gonna click on that. Let's hit Shift Z so I can see, and you can see right here. Okay, I'm hit Shift Z to bring that back out. Basically, this seam didn't get cut, and so that's still attached, and so it's not splitting there. So I need to grab this one, and this one has the same thing too. I don't know why that didn't go around. Makes me wonder. I'll hit U. We'll hit Mark Seam. Okay, now I'll hit A, and then we will go ahead and hit U again, and we will do an unwrap minimal stretch, and voila. Now we have 4 panels, right? And these would basically, again, if these were pants, this is basically what it would look like. The actual textiles, before they were sewn, they'd be cut into basically strips like this. Hopefully, that makes some sense. So we just did our pantalones, and I never did that either. Okay. So yeah, you might notice that when you go to do this, you might be like, oh, I have some issues. So like for instance, there should be like a thickness here. This kind of comes straight down as a tube. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this, and let's just go back to modeling real quick. So if you do notice that you're having issues, I'm at that / again. I'm going to hit E, and then I'll hit S, and I'm just going to extrude this in a little bit. That looks good. I'm going to hit A to select all. I'm going to do mesh, and then I'm just going to do symmetrize and make sure mine's from positive X and negative X, and that way it's on both sides. Okay, I'm going to go back to the UV editing, and then I'm going to look here, and we need to now mark these seams. So I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'm going to hit U. We will mark the seam. I'm going to hit A. I'm going to hit select all, then U, and then we're going to unwrap minimal stretch, and then voila. Okay, because it didn't have the thickness there. You can see I put it here on the top, but I just didn't do it on the bottom. Okay, so that is our first thing. We just did the legs. So try to do something a little bit simpler to start with. Each one will be a little bit more complicated. All right, so let's go on to the next one.